and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all to a brand new edition of Boxing 411 with Fight Scribe Rodney Green. Guys, before we introduce our featured guest of the evening, we do have to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by FightSaga.com and Box.Buzz. Guys, for all the latest boxing news, please go visit your centralized hub, linking in all the major boxing news wires and updated 24/7 Box.Buzz, B-U-Z-Z. And guys, also brought to you by In Rod We Trust. If you're looking for a home in the South Texas area, please go visit In Rod We Trust on Facebook. But guys, this would not be a Tuesday evening without the counsel of Boxtradamus. And yes, guys, we're going to get 3 new fight predictions tonight, so stay tuned for that, featuring the one and only Mr. Rodney Green. Rodney, how the heck are you, brother?
Yes, sir. Doing well. Man, get a chance to talk about some boxing as we embark on another busy weekend in the squared circle. So let's get to it, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've both been doing some research and been doing some digging, and it's yielded a lot of very interesting things. Guys, we're going to start off by, once again, here's the big one on Halloween night, Saturday, October 31st, in your main event of the evening. To the dismay of Floyd Mayweather and the fact that there are too many titles, well, there are going to be 2 titles on the line in your main event of the evening, featuring Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz, 2 weight divisions, 2 titles, right? And it's going to be staged initially at 130 pounds for Leo Santa Cruz's WBA super featherweight title, but also in the line is going to be Gervonta Davis's 135 WBA regular lightweight championship. And I stated this on Gogie's show, Rodney, but do you have any idea why both titles are on the line?
I have.
It's just in case Fat Boy Davis doesn't make weight. This is still a championship fight. And although initial reportings are very, very positive for Team Davis, he's been working his ass off in Vegas with no distraction. But there is that chance that he could hit that ceiling, that brick wall, where he just can't lose any more weight during fight week, just in case it still is a championship bout. I think it's just kind of comical, Rodney, because here Floyd is last week going on this rant, right, saying, hey, man, there's just too many belts in the damn sport, and we just need to clean it up. Okay, well, then why on earth do you have 2 fighters who are touting regular titles? Okay, on the undercard in the co-main event, Mario Barrios versus Ronnie Shields fighter, Cowboy Ryan Carl. Guess what that's for? The WBA regular 140-pound championship. With Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez as legitimate champions in that division, does anyone on God's green earth consider Mario Barrios of San Antonio to be a legitimate title holder?
Exactly.
So, again, the guy who was on this rant last week has 2 fighters who are holding these tourist trinkets. I just think that's kind of funny, Rodney. Your initial thoughts before we dive knee-deep into this, brother.
I mean, when Floyd went on the rant last week, it was somewhat surprising that he showed such an interest in the boxing organizations with all the belts. Now, he does have, a lot of folks do echo those same sentiments, but like you say, he comes back a week later, or and look at what's stake on his card, in the main event and the co-main event. So it sounds somewhat hypocritical, to be honest, and makes you wonder what his true intentions was when he went on that rant last week. But as I said, though, definitely these the guys fighting at 140, you don't see them as legitimate title holders, though. Not at on this card. And it just shows you again how everybody that has a belt is not really bona fide or belt-worthy material, or what we're used to, that we came accustomed to watching boxing in the past. So once again, I don't know if they kind of do this to trump up the event or interest as far as having these belts on the line. But, classical boxing in a sense where the more things change, the more they stay the same. And that's kind of how I feel about that, though, Joseph.
Very well stated, brother. And I know we've got so much to discuss. We really want to pick your brain and get your judgment on all of these fights coming up. But I want to start things off by reading a very, very profound statement from Bob Arum. And once again, you may not like him. You may be pro Top Rank. You may be against Top Rank. But damn it, you better learn to respect him, because he is leading the forge for boxing. Think about this, Rodney. This man is 88 years old. Does he really have to be doing this? Does he really?
Right.
Does he need the money? No, he wants to make sure that his beloved boxing is going to be in good hands when he's gone. That's the only thing that really makes sense. Do you really think he cares about all of these fighters? Do you really think he needs the money? No. And this just goes to show, and I'm going to read a quote from Bob Rank. It was reported by BoxingScene.com. Quote, it just shows that there are a lot of sports fans that like boxing out there. It's crucial. Again, you got to understand the people at the networks, particularly ESPN, are not per se boxing people. They like boxing. They realize that boxing can be good for them, but they're not really boxing people. They don't know. They just know what we tell them. And so we had to demonstrate to them that if everyone works together and we get the right fights on television and we give it to the public without charge, the fans are going to respond and watch the event. Now, that's key. That's crucial. And he goes on to say this, Rodney, and this is the thing that I love the most. This is what tells me he's doing it for the love of the sport, and he's worried about the future health. Quote, with all the people watching ESPN, the fact that they had such a tremendous result on ESPN Plus is maybe even more important. This is not something that only benefits Top Rank. It benefits everybody in the business, as far as Al Heyman is concerned and the people at Fox, and everyone else pays attention to this because it's part of the business, end quote. Your thoughts on the profound sentiment of Bob Arum?
Well, Bob Arum is a lot of things. He's an accomplished lawyer. He's a Hall of Fame promoter, a shrewd businessman. But with that being said, to me, it all encompasses that he does love the sport of boxing, and he wants to see the well-being of boxing continue to flourish long after he's gone. And I just think it's just a testament to him, to how he's been able to land on his feet while you have other promotional entities who are struggling or who can't find solid ground, especially in the year 2020. I mean, he's not just doing okay. I mean, he's flourishing over there at ESPN. And he's right. ESPN, to really have a interest in boxing, this is their first time really having a deep-rooted interest in boxing. Now, every once in a while they would have a few fights that would, they would telecast, or back in the day when we used to have Friday night fights. But it's been a while since that, has occurred. But to have this type of talent and this type of marquee matchups that we're starting to become privy to with ESPN, I mean, it's refreshing, and it's new to them. And I think Bob is right. He has to educate them on the sport and give them a crash course. But man, it's been both good for ESPN, and it's been both good for Top Rank. And I think they're going to continue to forge, into the future as great allies and continue to, be a front runner or be out in front in the sport. But, Bob, man, you have to respect him, though, because you're right, Joseph, man. His living is made. His legacy is made. His Hall of Fame career is cemented. And I think he just really loves the sport. I think he really loves to promote fighters. I think he really loves to be a part of successful events. I think he really loves the challenge, He's still here. Other promotional companies have come. Some are still around. But he's always been at the top or very near the top, and that continues to remain. So, man, Bob, you have to respect him on so many levels. As I said a few weeks ago, he's landed on his feet at ESPN, and the good thing about this merger or this marriage, you know what? He has a lot of young talent, hungry fighters, and ESPN has the platform to showcase them, Joseph.
Very well stated, and I concur 100%, brother. Here. Now, guys, once again, this is going to be a tough sell, Rodney, because I look back last year, right, and you look at Canelo versus Sergey Kovalev, which happened on for a minimal subscriber rate of DAZN, right? Cost less than $9 per month. 2 weeks later, we had a PBC pay-per-view on Showtime, and that was between Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz, and that was in a booming economy, right? But just like this, you had people saying, well, why on earth do we want to pay $75 for the fight that we saw on regular subscriber Showtime last year? We're seeing the rematch 2 weeks removed from just having to pay $9 to see the biggest star in North America. Now we're expected to pay $75 to see Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz 2 on Showtime pay-per-view? And it only did less than 200,000 pay-per-view buys, and that was during a good American economy. So now, fast forward to now, during the pandemic, we get a blue chip matchup on free ESPN, a more consequential matchup with 1 versus 2. All the marbles at 135 pounds, a very historic fight. Less than 2 weeks later, we're expected to pay $75 for Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz, a matchup for all intents and purposes that should have taken place 3 years ago. Do you think that boxing fans are going to make the same determination on Saturday night and say, you know what, I think I'll watch the replay, or I'll watch the DAZN heavyweight fight, or I'll watch the ESPN Plus fights featuring the return of the Japanese monster, Naoya Inoue, and Jason Maloney. I think I'm good with that, plus my trick-or-treating. Your thoughts, because to be honest with you, I'm really hoping that this fight card succeeds, both at the live gate and at pay-per-view, but during this pandemic and from what boxing fans just saw could and should happen on regular network TV, I think it's going to be a hard sell. Your thoughts as to how you think this pay-per-view is going to perform?
Well, you got to look at the trajectory of the business of boxing. And, years ago when we had Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, they weren't just fighters. They were almost cultural icons. So, again, you could justify shelling out $55 or $65 a few years ago. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Gervonta Davis, but I think you're trying to put that type of responsibility and have this illusion that he has this kind of star power to get the masses to pay $75, I think you're highly mistaken. You know, I really do. You made a good point. This fight should have happened 2 years ago, to be honest. And you're trying to sell it in a somewhat shaky economy right now, where for the most part, all sporting activities are pretty much down. Okay? So if I'm a betting man, and no matter how much optimistic I would like to be and how much I want Saturday night to be a successful event, I wouldn't hold my breath, though, Mr. Herron, to be honest. I wouldn't hold my breath. And let me tell you why. I mean, we're privy to be here in the San Antonio market, and usually for a big fight week, around this time I start getting real antsy, Joseph. Like, I get like, man, I can't wait. I mean, it really just starts to kind of get to my spirit where I'm ready to see some hands thrown. I'm ready to see some letters start to fly. I haven't got that sensation this week, Joseph, and I'm just being honest, though. And it's really sad, though, because, I think you're going to start to see the ramifications of some of these events that's not successful as far as that Showtime is associated with. And I think it's going to be very bad for them going forward. And we're going to see the fallout. And I think you're going to have these events that was really, we're going to look back that, okay, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That's why they're making the decision they're making at this current juncture. So, man, I don't know, Joseph. Man, we've had fights here before, whether it was Broner versus
Maidana.
Maidana, and that was like around this time, man. Man, let's go. Can't wait. Let's go. Come Tuesday or Wednesday, man, I was like, I can't wait. I was salivating.
Loved it.
Yeah.
The weigh-in at the Market Square was jam-packed. Oh, man. Yeah. Everyone was at the weigh-in, at the media events. Yeah, you could feel this electric buzz in the air that something special was going to happen at the Alamodome. And that card was stacked. You had Keith Thurman fighting Jesus Soto Caras on the undercard. It was a great event. Oh, yeah.
Exceeded all expectations, though. Just a great event and a great fight week as well. So, I know Gervonta Davis, they left Vegas today en route to San Antonio. I don't know if they're going to get some more intensified coverage with them being here, to help promote the fight and kind of create some buzz. But I just don't see the groundswell of support there, Joseph. And I think boxing is going into a different direction now from the pay-per-view model, though, Joseph. I think we're going into a direction where we saw a couple weeks ago where we was witness to see a fight that did 3 million views at its peak with, just a great boxing card the whole night. And I think, the regular TV, free TV platform is what's in now. And I think the old way of doing business with the inflated pay-per-view price tag, I think that's going to be a thing of the past. And I think this weekend is only going to cement that, sir.
You know what? Very well said. And I'll say this also. The start time for these events. You look at the start time of this, right? It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, right? 8 p.m. Central. In my opinion, they really need to start showing these later. Like, you look at the start time for the Top Rank event. That started at 10 p.m. Eastern, and it hit that sweet spot after all of the other sports coverage was done. It wasn't competing with the Astros versus the Rays. It wasn't competing with Georgia versus Alabama. Everyone who had tuned into those events, they said, okay, well, what's on now? Let's turn to ESPN. Boom. The main event was getting ready to start. That's your sweet spot. Look, I play music live. I play music for a living. The sweet spot, whenever it's the biggest crowd, is between 11 and 1. I talk to all the bartenders at the venues that we're playing. Hey, how well did you do? What's the prime time that you make the most money? They said, oh, that's easy, from 11:30 to 1:30. These guys need to get on the stick. ESPN had the right idea. They didn't start the main event until late. And look at the numbers. Okay, so prime time for these events are between 11 and 1. Okay? It's almost like boxing, any kind of social deviance, right? Anything that's socially deviant, like the sport of boxing, like playing live rock and roll, like having a drink at your local tavern. That doesn't happen until the kids are fast asleep. That's going to be a huge determining factor, I think, in this event's and future events' success. Start showing these later on, right? Because to be honest with you, brother, there's so much competition for your entertainment dollar, and so much of it you don't have to pay for. So all the organizers, event organizers in the sport of boxing, they need to start taking note of this. But when you look at Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz, look at how much tickets are. PBC and Floyd Mayweather Promotions, they're trying to charge Las Vegas prices in a San Antonio market. I mean, Rodney, if you want to sit 100 feet away from the ring in the cavernous Alamodome, that's going to cost you between $600 and $700. If you want to sit within the first 5 rows, boy, that's going to cost you $2,000 per ticket. That's not good, and from what you figured out, this is out of necessity now, isn't it? You did some digging, because I was under the impression that pay-per-view sales for the Charlo, and it was reported by PBC that it did anywhere between 100,000 and 125,000, but that's not accurate now, is it? What did you discover?
I heard it did less than 70,000 buys, okay? So if they did less than 70,000, then that's not good at all. Now, again, you know, I don't know who initially threw those numbers out there. They did over 100,000. I think if they did 100,000, they still didn't break even. So if they did less than 70,000, from my, from me digging and talking to a few sources and getting the real scoop, and from a very reliable source as well, yeah, I would tend to agree that they did close to, maybe like 68, 67,000. And that's not good at all, Joseph. That's a backbreaker.
No, and so it makes a lot of sense then, doesn't it, that they made the decision to move this to where they could have the added revenue stream of a live gate. Because I was trying to figure that out. Why would they move this? Because they had the 24th all to themselves. There was a UFC event going on, but that was done during the day from Abu Dhabi. I was like, why would they move it to compete with Top Rank and DAZN and put this fight on a date with 2 other great cards going on? So that makes a lot of sense, man. Good job, brother. But I'll your final thoughts on this before we start analyzing this matchup.
Well, again, in any kind of business model or any kind of business profession, you're going to see it's a right way to do things and it's a wrong way to do things. You're going to see organizations do things out of desperation, and then you're going to see organizations do things out of successful habits traits that they've done for years. And those who continue to do those successful display those successful habits and traits, they flourish. And the ones who kind of do things out of desperation and a money grab, well, they tend to flounder some. So I'm just going to leave it at that, sir.
Well, I tell you what, let's move forward and look at this matchup. We've got, and let's look at the odds here. And let me ask you, brother, do you agree with these odds? Because a lot of money is being placed now on Gervonta Davis to stop Leo Santa Cruz in the mid to late rounds. There's a lot of money going on him for a late round stoppage. In fact, the odds are as high now on several race and sports books as Gervonta Davis being listed as a minus 700 or 7-1 betting favorite, with Leo Santa Cruz as high as a plus 475 or an almost 5-1 betting underdog. Would you agree with that, Rodney?
You know what? I think those are somewhat accurate. I truly believe Santa Cruz's best weight was at 122 and 126. And I think that ultimately, you know, in spite of all the technical, qualities that Santa Cruz has, at some point he's going to find himself in a firefight, I think, with Davis. Davis has freakish power, and I think a lot of people are looking at that as to why it would be a mid to late round knockout. So, again, when is the last time Santa Cruz fought too, Joseph? Can you verify? When is the last time he's fought?
When is the last time Santa Cruz fought before the pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, last time he fought was on November 23rd of last year against Miguel Flores, and that was his only fight at the super featherweight level, and he won the vacant WBA super featherweight title. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, it's going to be almost a year layoff as well with him. But I just think that Gervonta Davis is more comfortable. And if he doesn't make the weight either, that's going to give him, to me, an additional advantage, which could be, could be the thought process behind that. But nevertheless, though, I like Santa Cruz. I do. I think he's a warrior. But I wouldn't be surprised at those odds that they came out to, fruition and that, somewhat came true. On the other hand, you could possibly see Gervonta Davis in a struggle. We'll see how well conditioned he is. We'll see. We're going to find out a lot Saturday, and if he struggles with Santa Cruz, that's going to say a lot going forth as well, though. So it'll be very interesting, though. But, I can't really knock the odds makers for having those odds, though.
No, I can't either. Let me introduce another narrative, Rodney, and I want to get your take on this. What's healthier for the future of boxing, the future health of the sport? A Leo Santa Cruz victory or a Gervonta Davis victory? Just looking at the road ahead, what is healthier for the sport of boxing? Now, keep in mind, before you say anything, keep in mind, Gervonta Davis, he's 25, going to be turning 26 next week. Leo Santa Cruz is 32 years old.
Right. And it's no doubt that Leo Santa Cruz is not the marquee guy. He's not the A side. He's the B side. And Gervonta has a higher ceiling. They have an opportunity to matchmake him possibly in the future with Ryan Garcia. Also, they can go Teofimo Lopez route, maybe even. It's a lot of choices they can make that would appear to be big money fights going forth. So you have to give the nod to Davis. On the other hand, you got to start looking at a lot of these fighters are going to start getting weeded out going forth too, Joseph. It's just not enough room for the sport for him. So, you could see Leo Santa Cruz possibly fall into that equation and, really give, guys like Gervonta Davis an equal shot to reach a level of stardom, make some money in the sport. And like I say, you start getting 33, 34 in the years of age in the sport, you become somewhat long in the tooth, and I think that Leo may fall into that equation. But nevertheless, though, man, Saturday night is going to be a very interesting night, and we'll see what does Santa Cruz have left, and then we'll see if Gervonta Davis is really going to ascend after this fight and really get some big money marquee fights going forward.
Yeah, you know what? I love Gervonta Davis. I love his backstory. Love how he fights. He is all balls in the ring, and he's got a sledgehammer in his left glove. And that right hook. Jeez, he's got devastating knockout power, which is always great for the sport. But I'll say this, Leo Santa Cruz, he is one of the good guys. He comes from a boxing family. And you've never heard him say a disparaging comment about anybody in this, often negative industry. He is one of the good guys. Regardless of who wins, I love both guys as being ambassadors of the sport, especially Leo. What a great guy he is. But I'll say this, boxing needs more personalities and more performers on the big stage like Gervonta Davis. That guy is excitement through and through. Win or lose, that guy's got sledgehammers in his gloves. And I'll say this, he's got a bigger mainstream following than most other young fighters his age, right? In my opinion, Rodney, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's just on the wrong platform. If this were on Fox and it were getting the Fox push behind it, I think this pay-per-view might actually have a chance of reaching between 250,000 and 300,000. I think Showtime is a flawed platform at this point. Now, I understand Floyd Mayweather, he kind of has a soft spot in his heart for Steven Espinoza and Showtime because he made a lot of money with Steven Espinoza and Showtime. But I think they've seen their last days. Their best days are long behind them. If you look at Gervonta Davis's last fight on regular subscriber Showtime, that was against Yuriorkis Gamboa, another big name in these lower weight divisions, and it only peaked at 700,000 viewers. In my opinion, if this fight doesn't perform well on pay-per-view, in my opinion, it's not him. He's all excitement, and he's got the big names behind. He's got the celebrities behind him. He's got the Mayweather brand behind him. This guy is a future star. Yeah, I think he's on the wrong platform here, Rodney. Your thoughts on that?
Well, not only is he's on the wrong platform, as the old saying, timing is everything. And in the pandemic, Joseph, it makes things somewhat shaky. Now, to his credit, he has been on pay-per-view before. He has sold out arenas in Atlanta, also in his hometown of Baltimore. And for whatever reason, they was able to create that buzz, get the people behind him, to get that push, that support. But I just think the timing is wrong right now, to be honest. And it's no indictment on Gervonta. His job is to go out there and fight and let the promoter, do what they have to do to help him sell tickets. Okay. To me, it strictly goes or highlights, like you say, they're on the wrong platform. They're doing it in a 2020, which is not the best economy. And you're doing it on a night where we have other options, Joseph. Let's just be clear.
Mm-hmm.
We have other options. And unlike the fight that we was witnessed to see a couple weeks ago between Lopez versus Lomachenko, where casuals, real boxing casuals, novices, tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect that. You can't expect that this go around, Joseph. You can't expect that. Okay, so it has the recipe for low attendance and low or very mediocre pay-per-view sales. And as I said, I think if this happens Saturday, we're going to see the ramifications and the long-term effect real quickly because of a failed event. And this is no indictment on Gervonta at all, in my opinion.
Very well said, brother. Now, here's going to be the biggest factor of this event. If we see pay-per-view numbers fall between 125 and 150,000, and then you look at the following weekend at the replay on regular subscriber Showtime, and that fails to reach 1 million viewers, you can mark my words, you can close the book on Showtime's involvement with the sport in 2021. Now, I know Steven Espinoza is talking about fights and matchups in 2021 with Adrian Broner, whatever. But if this doesn't sizzle and bring ratings to the platform, you're going to see them go the same route as HBO and completely get out of the sport. Mark my words, brother. Look, we called, when HBO was exiting boxing, we called that over half a decade ago. And the same thing's going to happen here. They're fishing for ratings. Why do you think they got Dexter out of retirement, brother? Because nothing else is doing it for him. So, two questions, Rodney, and we've got to move on after this because we're already at the 40-minute mark. One, do you think Gervonta Davis is going to make weight on Friday? I think Leo Santa Cruz was very smart. His people were very smart, saying, if you want to fight us, you're going to have to make the 130-pound limit. Do you think Davis is going to make weight on Friday?
Man, that's a good question, Joseph. It truly is. I don't think he is. I think he's going to maybe come in maybe a pound overweight. And I just think the kid is, he's going to reach that ceiling where he can't lose any more weight, or he's just reached that point where, he tried. And at the end of the day, his promoter is the one hosting the event. And I think ultimately, he's going to move up to 135 anyway. I mean, all the guys at 130 are at the dilemma where they're having a hard time making the weight. They're doing their best. He had an incentive with this being a big fight, and I'm sure he put the effort. But don't be surprised if he comes in a pound over the scale. And as I said, I truly believe that, he went to Vegas with all intentions of working hard, staying focused. But, man, he's a big kid, though. He's a big kid. He's still growing. He hasn't really put on his grown man weight. And this is going to be his league. Even if he made the weight, this is probably going to be his last hurrah at 130 anyway.
Oh, boy, I concur, brother. And to be honest with you, I think his team realizes that what's more important, a big, sensational knockout performance or making the 130-pound limit? Because that's ultimately the question they're going to have to be asking themselves on Thursday night and Friday morning. And I think it's a no-brainer. I think you're absolutely right about this. As hard as he's been working, and he's been working his ass off, have you noticed during the media workout, he was wearing his sweatsuit? Every single time they've shown him in the gym, he's been wearing his sauna suit, brother. That's not good. There's going to come a time this week where he's going to try to trim those last couple pounds off, and he's not going to be sweating it out anymore. He's going to have to make that decision. Now, I'm going to tell you, brother, I'm going to ask you this. What are the chances that we're going to see Now, again, listening to Leo Santa Cruz, he says, this is the most important fight of my career. This is the one I've been wanting for years. I feel big. I feel strong at 130. And I know I'm a better fighter than Gervonta Davis. Mix that with being in San Antonio, Texas. Ooh, if he takes Gervonta Davis the distance with the judges here in South Texas, brother, I'm going to say it now. If he can take Gervonta Davis the distance with his punch output with the judges in South Texas, I'm calling it right now, brother. We're going to see an effing upset.
Yeah.
That's my final prediction. I think he's going to win a split decision victory, and Floyd's going to be so pissed off, and he's going to say, man, I'm never coming to South Texas ever again. That's my thoughts. Your final prediction on this grand event at 130 and 135 pounds.
I do have Gervonta winning by late stoppage, but here's the thing, though. We keep this in mind. Leo Santa Cruz has a lot of incentive because he's fighting for his dad, who's fighting for his life, and he's going to lay it on the line. So, Gervonta, and you just said something very special. They're holding it in South Texas to where Leo Santa Cruz can end up getting some home cooking. Okay? And you do not be surprised. So that's why I say it's going to be interesting Saturday night. A lot of things to look at, but that's one thing about Santa Cruz. He's going to put up a spirited effort. And if Gervonta struggles, well, we can go ahead and kind of knock him down a tier from the Lopez, Garcia, and Devin Haney. I think he's going to be beneath them if he doesn't win in dramatic fashion this Saturday night.
Oh, guys, it's going to be going down this Saturday night, Halloween, October 31st, at the San Antonio Alamo Dome. Guys, it's going to be staged on pay-per-view. If you can't make it to the event, get it on pay-per-view at the bargain basic price, $74.99. Thanks for playing, guys. Trick or treat. My word. Rodney, if we can't get seats, if we can't get press seating to this event, which it doesn't look like we're going to, how are you going to watch this fight, man?
Man, that's a good question.
Well, don't worry, man. Your Uncle Joseph, man, has something in store for you, brother. I'm working on right now getting you tickets for your son so you guys can go enjoy the fights. How's that, brother? Courtesy of FightSaga.com.
Do it. I'm all over it. I'm all there.
Dude, and this is all because we value your insight, man, on this show every single week. God bless you, brother, and thank you for sharing the wealth, so to speak. So this is our thanks to you, Rodney. I'm going to get you guys tickets by hook or by crook, my friend.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Can't wait.
I'll tell you what, let's look forward then to, the big heavyweight fight on DAZN Saturday day, and it's going to be with a special start time, in the States. Main event should be starting between 4 and 5 p.m., and that's going to be Oleksandr Usyk taking on, Del Boy, Dereck Chisora. This is going to be in the Wembley Arena. Wow, and this is going to be staged for the W.A.W mandatory challenger position. You know what? I'll say this. Dereck Chisora always makes for an interesting event. And although I know guys like David Haye has already stated, which is now his manager, which is quite shocking considering their checkered past, right? But David Haye has already come out and said he guarantees an upset victory. He claims that Usyk has never seen a style like this, not in the amateurs, not as a pro, that Dereck Chisora is going to have his head buried in his chest the entire time and is going to give him grief for all 12 rounds if he doesn't get knocked out. Your thoughts on the bold claim of Mr. David Haye?
Well, I mean, David Hay, he's supposed to say that. That's his manager. And it, he could possibly validate that come Saturday night. We know what Usyk is, a great talent. Okay, great talent, but we have to understand, man, that he did this at a lot of his claim to fame has been at the cruiserweight. Okay, now can he do it against the big boys though? Can he do it against a murderous puncher like Chisora, where he just got to connect one time and can change the whole outcome of the fight? Very interesting fight, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a stiff test come Saturday night. And does Chisora have anything left in the tank too? Chisora's been in a lot of wars too, Joseph. A lot of wars. So those questions will be answered Saturday night. And I know I can't wait to see how this fight pans out. And one thing about the Haymaker, who packed a good punch himself, if he's guaranteeing a victory, well, man, Chisora's going to have to go out there and back that up, though. So hopefully, it's a check that he can cash and write it and take it to the bank. But we're going to find out Saturday, though. And it's going to be good because here we go again. We're looking at a very skilled boxer like we saw a few weeks in Lomachenko where it was unimaginable that he could lose. Here we come again with a very skilled heavyweight, very similar background, and will lightning strike twice, Joseph? Will it strike twice? Huh?
I don't know, brother. That's why they fight the fights, my friend. I'll tell you this. I love the parallels that you just brought up, and I'll do one more. This matchup reminds me of Vasyl Lomachenko, the fight that we were there ringside for, Vasyl Lomachenko versus Orlando Salido.
Yep.
David Hayes right. Oleksandr Usyk, as experienced as he is, most fighters in the amateurs do not fight balls out, man, like Dereck Chisora, because the point system doesn't really call for it. That's why you see a lot of rough inside fighters go pro and don't have an extensive amateur background, right? That's why, because their style of fighting isn't conducive for a successful amateur career. Dereck Chisora is no exception, and even in the cruisers, did you ever see Usyk take on someone who was right there in his chest the entire time? I can't recall that.
Not at all.
He's correct when he says this, but one of the things that is a red flag when you look at Dereck Chisora, 32-9 record, got knocked out 3 times. Once by Tyson Fury, once by David Hay, and a vicious KO by Dillian Whyte that just happened in December of 2018. Now, since that knockout, he's looked great against Sinat Gashi, Arthur Spilka, and David Price. But those guys aren't Oleksandr Usyk. And another thing, you look at his age. He's 36.
Yep.
Does he have too many miles on the odometer for this one last gas? I'll say this, though. He's coming into the fight, and David Hay working with him, he's made sure that Dereck Chisora is in optimal shape. He looks great. He looks tough, and he's ready for battle. This is a guy who gave Vitaly Klitschko everything he could handle. That's how old Dereck Chisora is, and that's how long he's been fighting. Do you remember the weigh-in, or do you remember the face-off where he spat in Vitaly Klitschko's face?
Yeah. Never forget
Are we going to see something like this on Saturday, man?
I mean, anything is possible. Chisora, man, he's how can I say this, man? He can kind of be a loose cannon at times, and he could do something to where it can maybe kind of go into a mind game ploy to maybe get under Usyk's skin. But, don't be surprised to see Usyk try to outbox him, and you're gonna see that, I think, throughout the fight. But at some point, he's gonna have to show his mettle, I believe, and that's whether taking a punch or maybe exchanging with him or maybe going into that lion's den, and then we're going to find out a lot as well. But also, as I said, man, we can't minimize, like you said, it's a lot of miles on Chisora. Does he have one last push left, Joseph? Can Hay get it out of him? Can David Hay, he has been in optimum shape. Can he really get his mind right to where he can become victorious? Because, as I said, he's a murderous puncher, baby. He can land something, and that's what he's going to have to keep in mind, that, he just needs that one shot to change the outcome of the fight.
I love it. And I'll say this, brother. It's going to be a great event. Win or lose, it's going to be a tremendous event, because I'm with you. There's going to come a time in this fight where Oleksandr Usyk is going to have to get that respect. Does he have the crack in his shot to earn that respect and keep a guy like Dereck Chisora off of him? Keep in mind, Dereck Chisora has been in the ring with a much bigger punchers than Oleksandr Usyk. But if we look at Chisora's last fight with Tyson Fury, the only other guy whose footwork and technical ability even rivals Oleksandr Usyk, that didn't look good. So I'll say your final prediction before I make mine, Rodney Green.
I'm going to go unanimous decision, Usyk, and I'm going to say scorecard should rival around 8-4. I think Chisora is going to put up a spirited effort. I really do. But I think Usyk, man, is just too much. He's the younger fighter. He's the fresher fighter. He's a more skilled fighter. He's a more tactful fighter. And I think as the fight progresses, he's going to make it a premium to stay out of harm's way, and he should get a decision, win by decision.
I think you're absolutely right on this one, brother. I think if Lawrence Cole were the referee, and if this were staged in the Alamo Dome, I'd say Dereck Chisora has a chance, but it's not. I think Oleksandr is just too good. He is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in all of boxing for a reason. And, it's going to be all on display. He is going to carve Dereck Chisora up like a Thanksgiving turkey, brother. Thanks for playing. But I tell you what, it should be a tremendous event. I love this event. In fact, I'm going to be tuned in from start to finish. I'm really looking forward to seeing the co-main event in the lightweight division, Lee Selby versus George Kambosos Jr. That's going to be a great event. Also, I'm really looking forward to the heavyweight fight, David Allen versus Christopher Lovejoy. That's going to be a tremendous event. Also, Savannah Marshall versus Hannah Rankin. This is a great card, guys. It's going to be an exciting one, and it's going to take place, and it's going to be televised by DAZN here in the States, thanks to the good people in DAZN. I'll tell you what, we've got one more matchup to cover in the final 5 minutes, and that's going to be the return of Naoya Inoue, the American debut of Inoue.
Yep.
Wow, and he's going to be taking on the very fast, very hard-punching Jason Maloney, and this is going to be staged on Top Rank's ESPN+, and it's going to be staged for Inoue's Super WBA and IBF Bantamweight titles. Big question here, brother. Is Inoue still the same monster after suffering serious damage in his fight of the year with Nonito Donaire last year?
That's something that we could very, very well find out this Saturday, that he left a lot in that ring with Donaire. And not going to say he's the same fight. He's not the same fighter. But to go up against Maloney, who's a heavy-handed fighter himself, man, you can easily see himself getting into another, firefight. But again, it's going to be very entertaining, and another great matchmaking by Top Rank as far as an exciting fight. I mean, all the elements are there. But yeah, man, Inoue just went through hell and back with Donaire, and we might see it again, though, Joseph. Don't be surprised if he finds himself in a fist fight, a true fist fight, very similar to Donaire. But if I have to pick a winner, I would have to go with Inoue. I mean, I think he's the better fighter across the board. But that's why they fight the fights. So Saturday is going to show us where he's at and how fresh he is, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, brother. It's going to take place. This one's going to take place. That's your main event of the evening. Naoya Inoue, his American debut against Jason Maloney from Australia. That's going to be taking place at the Bubble at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's going to be televised on ESPN+. That is a lot of competition for that PBC pay-per-view.
Man,
those are great fights. Yeah, I'll say this. Credit to Jason Maloney for really shooting big on this one. Will it pay off? I don't think so, brother. After watching fight footage of Jason Maloney, he's very, very fleet-footed. His footwork is very impressive. He's very good at staying mobile, but keeping the fight in the center of the ring, which is exactly what he has to do against Inoue. But it's that body attack from Inoue, man. Don't be surprised if you see an early to mid-round stoppage by way of left hook to the liver. This is, Inoue just punches way too freakishly hard at 118 pounds. How the hell does he punch this hard, Rodney, at 118?
Man, he got some serious, and I don't see how Donaire was able to hold up though, man. Because Donaire has been in quite a few wars itself. So, man, really, you're right. He's a devastating body puncher, and his power seems to go as the rounds progress. He continues to keep his power, which for his size speaks volumes. So that's what we're going to be looking at Saturday night. Ken Maloney. Really, because he's going to get tested early. He's going to get tested early, and he's going to have to give Inoue something to think about, because he's going to step to him early and often.
Yep. Oh, jeez. I tell you what, he's got some balls on him. The guy from Aussie, credit to him for taking on this assignment. But, I just don't see this ending well for him, brother. But I tell you what, an hour just flew by now, didn't it, Rodney? Goodness gracious, man. Do you have any parting shots for our listening audience this evening?
No, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. And, 2020, we're in the fourth quarter, and we got some great fights going on. And, man, it truly is. In spite of the pandemic, though, Joseph, I think we're blessed to be able to get these quality matchups, though. I mean, these are some great matchups that are going on consecutively. And just the politics and business aside, ultimately, we watch the sport because what happens in the squared circle. And I just hope Saturday night gives entertaining fights across the board here in the States and across the pond. And if that happens, then it's definitely a win for the sport.
Indeed, guys. He's Rodney Green. You can hear him every single week, every Tuesday night on Boxing 411. But, guys, that's going to just about do it. Want to thank everyone for tuning in. And in case you missed any part of the show, you can catch it on our YouTube page, War Week Radio Network on YouTube. Guys, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. On behalf of Rodney Green, my name is Joseph Herron. You've been listening to Boxing 411 and War Week Radio. Have a great evening, everybody.